Hi, my name's Alyssa Goldberg, and I have a divorce practice in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. I've been practicing for over 20 years. When people come to my office, they're scared, they're unsure as to how to proceed, and I agree, it is a very emotional process, and they're concerned about their finances for the future, and also they're concerned about their children. So let me explain briefly how the divorce process works in Pennsylvania. If there are any assets and debts that were acquired during the marriage, they have to be divided, or there has to be a contract created that divides the assets before you're able to finalize the divorce. So your first question should be, what constitutes a marital asset? Marital asset is anything that's acquired from the day that you marry until the day that you separate. Once you collect the documentation, we can then sit down and talk about how you want to divide those assets and debts. We would also talk about whether there should be alimony and also talk about child custody and child support. We'd create a proposal, and then we would send that to your spouse's attorney or your spouse if he or she is unrepresented. Hopefully we can resolve it through that process. If the two of you can agree on those issues, then I would draft a contract. It's called a property settlement agreement. And once the two of you sign that contract, it becomes a legal binding contract. That contract gets incorporated into all of the divorce paperwork and then becomes a court order, which both of you have to abide by. But let's say you and your spouse can't reach an agreement. He or she thinks you should get nothing, and you say, hey, that's not fair. Well, then there are other ways to proceed. One other way is to proceed by way of mediation. With mediation, what happens is both of you come to my office, and I act as a mediator. I'm a third-party neutral, and my job as mediator is to facilitate conversation between the two of you. So I raise different issues, I make different proposals, but ultimately it's the two of you that reach an agreement, and whatever agreement is reached with regard to the division of assets and debts and custody and child support and or alimony, that gets included into a contract. And both of you have the opportunity to have an attorney review that contract prior to signing. So to be clear, if I'm acting as a mediator, I'm not also able to act as your attorney. So you would have to hire another attorney to review the contract if that's what you wish to do. A different way to proceed with divorce is litigation. And how litigation works is both of you can't reach an agreement. We present our case to a master. A master is an attorney in the court system who will make a recommendation as to how your assets and debts should be divided, and also if there's any alimony. And if one of you disagrees with the master's recommendation, then ultimately you would have a trial in front of a judge. With custody, it's a two-step process as well. We first go to a custody conference, and if we can't resolve it there, you may participate in court conciliation and evaluation service, and from there, ultimately, a trial in front of a judge. That's called the litigation process. And then also there's collaborative divorce. And how collaborative divorce works is it's more of a team approach towards divorce. So both you and your spouse hire collaboratively trained attorneys, and not every family law attorney is collaboratively trained. But what happens is both of you hire collaboratively trained attorneys, and then the four of us, the two of you, the two attorneys, sit at a table together. We ask each of you, what are your goals and interests? And we brainstorm ideas together. The four of us sit down and talk about how each of you can reach as many of those goals and interests that you have based upon the assets and debts that you have, and also with regard to alimony, if applicable. Oftentimes with collaborative divorce, we use a divorce coach. A divorce coach helps deal with the emotional aspect of divorce, because even if the two of you are relatively amicable, it's still not a fun process. And a divorce coach helps deal with the emotion, helps you get through that so you are in the right mindset to figure out the division of assets and debts, and also to figure out a good custody schedule for your kids. And also sometimes we use a financial neutral through the collaborative process. A financial neutral is somebody who helps deal with the division of assets and debts. If perhaps you have assets that are somewhat complicated, like deferred compensation or certain executive plans or restricted stock units, the financial neutral will help in that respect with the aid of the attorneys. And in the end, The goal, like the other processes, is to have a contract signed between the two of you that memorializes what the two of you have agreed upon. Thank you.